Fovea is the portion of the retina where there's nothing being recorded. It just extrapolates everything around it. But there's a portion of the eye where it's an incredibly precise lens, but then this one tiny spot gets no information. There are no rods, no cones. So I was working with a kid's plastic camera, a Diana, which is a film camera, 2.25, and they used to give them away if you filled up a tank of gas. Now the original ones are harder to find, but they're very astigmatic, but they're very emotional. They're very metaphorical. And I would be traveling all over the world with 6x6 cameras, a couple of Hasselblads, more film than that would break my back. But I would also throw in this camera. And anywhere I would be photographing with this precise Hasselblad equipment, I would spend part of the day with a Diana. And it was very dreamlike. And I did that for probably 30 years. I haven't done it in a while, although I was in Egypt right before the pandemic. And that was the only camera I brought with me, and black and white film. Because at this point, I'm not going to add to the discourse of anything by bringing back images of Egypt and pyramids and the Nile. It's arrogant to think I'm going to come up with something new. But I just wanted to be able to have the feeling of what it was like of going down into these spaces and looking at these objects. So that was always a sidelight. When I would be doing stock photography, they said, well, we can't use these because if people are using any of your images, they're going to add to the cart with more images like it. And one's subjective, the other's objective, one's emotional, the other is analytical. Oil and water, they don't mix. We can't use these. And it never bothered me, but it was more about the Diana, and Fovea was more of, I'm not really spiritual, but that's the closest thing I get to it, of just these dreamlike images. And then I look at images of me as a kid, and you start doing some images of children and grandchildren with cameras like that, and you start thinking, yeah, it's almost like looking at my parents, my grandparents. It's a wonderful tool, and it's going back to film.